Hello, welcome everybody. So we are going to wait a couple minutes for everyone to filter in case you don't remember where you are, this is Nourish My Soul's Lunch and Learn webinar. Food and your mood is our topic. Hopefully you're in the right place. Welcome. While we wait, if you could just let me know in the chat box, let everyone know where you are coming from and what you have for lunch. So let's see what you have. This is a lunch and learn, so let me know. I am not eating right now. I have soup waiting for me. I didn't want to be slurping my soup while I was giving a presentation. So oh, welcome. Oh, we have someone from Texas today. Wow. Fabulous. Oh, Florida. Okay. So if you could tell us how you heard about us, how you heard about this. Oh, Instagram. You follow us on Instagram. Excellent. Thank you. I'm so glad to have you following us. That's exciting. It's always fun for me to see what our reach is and who follows us. And yeah, so this is exciting. Welcome. Okay. Let a couple more people in. Hello, everyone. So for those of you who just came in, I asked everyone to put in the chat. You can see where they are coming from, where they're logging in from, and what you have for lunch. So we have a pizza. We have, tell us what's on your pizza. I'm always intrigued by what people choose to put on their pizza. We have a quinoa salad. Oh, grilled cheese sandwich. One of my favorite comfort foods. I love grilled cheese. Okay. Thank you. And thank you guys for being honest about what you're eating, because a lot of times people see me giving a presentation and so they start feeling like they have to say they're having a salad or something. And that's not the case. I promise you, I eat very similar foods to what all of you eat. Okay. All right. So should we get started? Excellent. Okay. I want to be mindful of time because I know this, for a lot of you, this is like your lunch hour. So I'm going to keep it moving. All right. So again, this is a lunch and learn brought to you from Nourish My Soul about food and your mood. This is me. My name is Annalicia Cruz. Most people call me Alicia. And I am a nutritionist that focuses on intuitive eating. So I help people reconnect with their bodies to better understand what it is that their needs are and to work to undo the toxic diet culture that we've been completely immersed in. What you fuel your body with should be more about what makes you feel your best and not about control and changing the number on the scale. And Nourish My Soul, so I'm the executive director for Nourish My Soul as well. And Nourish My Soul is a nonprofit that models youth leadership and equitable food systems. So we believe that in order to change our food system, we need to start with our young people and build those healthy relationships with food and with the earth and with one another so that they can then go on and create positive, nourishing food systems for everybody. We offer classes for young people as young as 5. So really it's like school age children all the way through college. We do have family programming as well. So if you are a family with younger children, we welcome you into our family programming. But we focus on teaching young people how to grow, prepare, and share food with one another in a loving way. So in the process, they learn to love themselves, love and care for the earth, and love and care for one another. We also rescue food from the waste stream and redistribute it to people in need. So this is perfectly good food. We're not, taking food that's bad in any way. This is great food that anyone would be thrilled to have. And instead of having it go into the waste stream and contribute to our climate change, where one of the top contributors is food waste, we are then feeding people who need it, who are hungry. And then we grow food on a larger scale to use not only in our classes and as education, but also to distribute that food as well to people in our community. So our topic today is food in your mood. And so I want to ask everybody a few questions. If you could answer in the chat, how does a bad mood feel in your body? So we all have these signs that our body gives us to let us know that things are a little off, right? That we're not feeling our best. Sometimes we can get really busy and we don't identify that. But if we can take a step back and figure out where that negativity shows up in our body. So for some of us, it might be holding tension in our shoulders. So we get shoulder pain, neck pain, headache, maybe. Some people, like myself, hold things in my stomach so I can feel butterflies or nauseous, kind of like that anxious feeling. So let us know where it shows up in your body. A lot of headaches. Okay. Feeling tired. Okay. So like fatigue, mental, physical fatigue. That's a good one. That's really good. I think most of us can probably relate to that as well. Yeah. And so it's interesting when we don't take the time to recognize and name it. A lot of times what will happen is this mood, right, from wherever it's stemming from, then snowballs, and it can create a long stream of negative emotions that then translate into disease in our body. So our emotions actually trigger some chemical responses in our body. So when we have an emotion, we have this chemical output that then can either make us feel good and contribute to wellness, or it can make us feel bad and contribute to disease. So it's important to learn to identify. So much of our society fails to recognize and name emotions and moods and feelings. We try to push them aside and think that if we ignore them, then they won't impact us. And that couldn't be further from the truth. It continues to snowball. So we really need to get in the habit of identifying and naming that, which is kind of what this exercise is and how it feels in our body, so that we can start to identify it before we have words for it. We can feel it. And so this last question that I often get is, why do some remain positive while others get overwhelmed or deflated? How can some people have, you have two people that have the same situation. Let's say you're running late one morning. You've had like these chain of events that have happened. Your alarm didn't go off. The dog had an accident that you had to clean up. You burnt your breakfast. Like these chain of events. You spilled your coffee, and you get in the car, and then you start to hit every red light. So there's a couple of responses. There's several responses you could have. The default response typically is, most people will get frustrated. They, the anxiety builds, they feel loss of control of their morning, and they may say, very exasperated, why is every light red when I'm running late every single time, right? Like, so this is like, this is a frustration, and having that framing in your mind, it always goes like this, it's always bad, will set you up to have that continue, versus a person that frames it differently and says, okay, I need this extra time. This is actually a good thing. It's giving me a pause button. If I'm hitting all these red lights, I can take a minute to take some deep breaths. I can decompress from the chain of events that happened this morning that brought me to this point where I'm feeling like this. So it's all in how you frame it and how you present it to yourself. So that has a huge impact on our mood and our ability to move forward and make good choices. So, our frame of mind also dictates the choices that we make in all aspects of our life, including what we eat. Because it's going to, if you are in a negative headspace, you're going to actually start craving foods that make you feel better. Because our desire is to feel good, right? That's everyone's basic desire, to feel good. So you're going to gravitate towards foods that give you that quick fix. And food is very, very powerful. Like I said, it can make you feel really good. And food has this incredible ability to either heal or sicken us. It's when you take a step back and you really think about it, everything that we put into our mouth and that we consume is actually used by your body to create new cells. So you are literally a walking example of what you choose to feed yourself. Every cell is comprised of the choices that you made in feeding yourself. So that is a powerful mindset to have, in that you are actually the master of your cells, right? Like, it's not just some thing that happens magically while you sleep. While it does, it's actually being fueled by what you have chosen to make, to add as the ingredients for those cells. You quite literally are what you eat. So again, this can be harnessed for healing rather than thinking about it in a negative connotation where, most people will be saying you are what you eat and like trying to guilt you to stay away from those bad foods. I like to focus on what you can do to heal yourself and to create those healthy cells. And we all know some of these examples, right? Like, this is pretty common knowledge. So some examples I've put up here for healing foods. Ginger, most of us know that ginger heals our stomach. It settles your stomach. If you are feeling nauseous, you can have some ginger and that'll settle it. So any digestive issues, that kind of thing. Spinach increases red blood cells, so it gives you more energy, in the form of iron. Grapefruit is good source of vitamin C, which helps, fight off disease. And garlic kills bacteria, so keeps infections away. So those are some examples, some common examples. If you guys have any that you want to add to this, I would love to hear them. Put them in the chat. See what other things we all have as common knowledge. You guys know more than you think you do, and more than you give yourself credit for. A lot of people come to me for advice, but really a lot of it is things that they already knew. They just needed to have it put together in a way that makes sense for them. Okay, so yeah, I'm getting some comments. Bone broth helps heal illness. Yes, bone broth is excellent for people that are fighting disease. Chamomile helps me relax, it says. Yep, so having some chamomile tea before bed is a great way to prepare your body for sleep. Blueberries for antioxidants. Yes, yep. A lot of us are familiar with that. Oh, and we have one, prunes help me poop. Yes, so that's an important health outcome, right? Like if we are chronically constipated, we are not in our best of health. So prunes for the win. Yes, I love it. Thank you guys for your brutal honesty. That's great. Okay. And so how does this, so this is supposed to be food in your mood, right? And, you know, those examples are examples of health. But how do you apply this to mood? Well, when your body feels better, your mind feels better, right? Common sense. And when your body is healthy, you can better manage stress, right? So you are prepared. And I'm not a fan of separating mental and physical health. It is all one. We are one, and when one is off, the other is off. We work synergistically, and we cannot separate. We cannot parse those out. They are one in the same. So good nutrition is going to. These are some of the examples when you really break it down in terms of health. These are the top things that we really can control through our diet. So inflammation is a good thing. You know, we usually equate it to something negative. Inflammation serves a purpose. It keeps us alive. It is something that heals us from injury. So I don't want to, demonize this process that keeps us alive. But when we have excess inflammation, then it becomes problematic, right? So then it creates depression, anxiety. You know, your brain is also susceptible to becoming inflamed. And healthy gut microbiome. So these are the little microbacteria that live in your stomach primarily through your digestive system. And there is also a link with our brain. And they are absolutely responsible and necessary for the creation of serotonin. So for those of you who aren't familiar with serotonin, that is the chemical output in our brain that makes us feel good, makes us feel calm and happy. It is the happiness chemical. Serotonin and dopamine are the two that we typically refer to, and those are the ones that our body is seeking all the time. So making sure that we have a healthy gut actually sets the stage for the ability to create serotonin. So if we don't have those healthy bacteria in there, we lose that ability to even create serotonin in an efficient manner. And then our mitochondria. So these are known as our energy factories for all of our cells. Without it, you end up feeling, obviously, so the lack of energy is going to leave you feeling sluggish and depressed, right? So without the mitochondria being fed properly, you are susceptible to mental illness, especially depression. And then neuroplasticity through BDNF. So this rewires our brain after a traumatic event or a bout with mental illness. This is what actually helps our brain to adapt and grow and rewire after such an event. So this is really important for long-term mental health, the ability to have that neuroplasticity. So what is good nutrition? Again, I think most of us intuitively know this, but I'm going to spell it out, put it in black and white so that you can, make those connections and incorporate more of these things into your life. And this list is not exclusive. Okay. So this doesn't mean this is all you eat. These are just some examples. Keep in mind that we are on a 30-minute lunch and learn webinar. This is not a nutrition session. So I don't know you. I don't know what will work best for you and what additions or exclusions need to happen with this. But these are just some examples. So you need to have healthy fats. Your brain has to have fat in order to make those neuron connections, okay? And to produce a lot of those chemicals, you have to have fat. We cannot continue with our fat phobia. Fat is necessary. The type of fat that you consume is important, okay? So having it from healthy sources like nuts and seeds and avocados and fatty fish and flaxseed, those are all really good sources of fat. And chia seeds, I don't have that listed in there, but that's also a really good one. Proteins. So I've listed turkey and oysters simply because those actually have tryptophan in them. So that helps your brain to relax and feel good. There are a myriad of healthy proteins to consume. I personally am a vegetarian, so I don't eat turkey and oysters. I get a lot of my protein from beans and lentils and nuts and seeds. All of those things help to give me the protein that I need. And then our vegetables. So leafy greens, like I mentioned with the spinach, those are going to feed your blood cells, give you that energy that you need. Along with them, they are just jam-packed with nutrients, minerals. Mushrooms also help to feed that good bacteria in your gut. Asparagus, onions, tomatoes, those are all really good sources for vegetables that are going to improve your mood. Fruits, our berries and our apples, those are good examples of fruits that are going to impact your mood, improve your mood. Whole grains. So this actually goes along lines of our prune example, right? So you want to stay regular. Whole grains have that fiber to help kind of clean out your insides, get rid of all the toxins. Oats in particular will also impact your serotonin levels and make you feel good. And then, just some of those other examples, the garlic, that helps with your balancing of your gut bacteria. Turmeric is excellent for improving mood. Green tea and dark chocolate. Dark chocolate is in the small amounts, it's going to boost your mood, make you feel good. But again, that's that fine line of what is a good amount and what is too much, right? We can cross over that line very easily when we're talking about things that impact our brain chemicals. So building up a healthier gut, I mentioned that with the mushrooms. Any fermented foods really are going to be a good source of this, as long as they're not high in sugar. So a lot of times I'll have clients that'll be like, well, I'm having this yogurt every day. And what they don't realize is that yogurts that are high in sugar, that sugar is actually feeding the bad bacteria in your gut. So that's multiplying at a higher rate and faster than what you're replenishing with that good bacteria from the fermented foods. So you really want to pay attention to that sugar content. And sugar is also detrimental to your mood because it creates those highs and lows, right? So we probably will feel really, really good for a hot minute. And then, our insulin levels spike up and our blood sugar comes crashing down, and we end up on this cycle of highs and lows and, kind of feeling like we're on a roller coaster, and that's not good for anyone's mental health and mood. Just try to avoid that. You want to try and stay at an even keel. So other examples of fermented foods are like kimchi, sauerkraut, kombucha. I use kombucha a lot. And of course, the yogurt. kefir. Those are all examples of fermented foods. Every culture has these fermented foods. Miso is another one. And then bone broth also helps with building up that healthy gut bacteria, which someone I think had mentioned bone broth in one of my other questions about association with health. So yes. So you guys know more than what you think you do. All right. So vitamin D. Vitamin D you can get from some food sources. However, it's much more difficult for your body to convert versus getting it directly from sunshine. So this is not a food source. This is actually, you want to get out into the sunshine, and the time matters. So while I'm not saying that if you miss this window, oh, forget it. I'm just saying there's an optimal time for this. So morning exposure, morning sun exposure, even if it's on a cloudy day, that's still really powerful. So going outside within an hour of waking up and having that sun shine on you, especially, don't stare at the sun, close your eyes. But if you look towards the sun and absorb that vitamin D, just 10 minutes. If you can couple this with walking, even better for your mood and your mental health. So what that does, having that sunlight hit you within that first hour of waking, is it helps set your circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm is what controls your sleep patterns. So it controls when you output cortisol and when you output melatonin. So that regulates when you're awake, when you have energy, and when you are going to fall asleep. So there's a lot of things that play a role into that. And if you struggle with sleep, that's something that we can have a different conversation about. But vitamin D and getting that sunshine in first thing in the morning is one of the best tools that you have to regulate your mood, set your circadian rhythm, because sleep has a huge impact on your mood as well. And we just feel better when we have the sun shining on our face, right? Like everybody knows that. It just feels good. And then couple that with movement and you are golden. That is like the best morning routine you can adopt. Okay, so I don't like to spend a lot of time on this because I don't like to focus on negative. I like to add things to people's lives and not make them feel defeated or shamed about anything. But this is good for you to know, right? So things that sabotage your mood in terms of food are overall lack of food, lack of calories coming in. You're hangry. It's hard to be in a good mood when your body is like yelling at you that it needs food, and you start to get a headache and you don't feel well and you're lethargic. You're definitely not feeling your best. So stop with the severe restriction of calories. That's not helpful. And it, when you're lethargic, you're less apt to exercise. And so it's this cycle. You want to feed your body properly. Caffeine. So interestingly, like I said, the circadian rhythm and sleep is really, really powerful for your health. And caffeine can interfere with that. So everyone has a different makeup in their body. So different DNA. So we're going to process this a little bit differently. However, overall, this is the average. Okay. Caffeine has a 6 to 7 hour half-life. So what that means is that 6 to 7 hours after you have that cup of coffee, it is still in your system as half a cup of coffee. All right. So if you had 8 ounces of coffee, that 4 ounces of caffeine is still circulating through your body. And even more powerful is that caffeine has a 12-hour quarter life. This is really important to understand. Okay. So if I have an afternoon slump and I have a cup of coffee to boost that, let's say it's at 2:00 in the afternoon. And I know I'm not going to bed till like 10 o'clock. So I'm going to have a cup of coffee to help me get through my day. at 2:00. That cup of coffee, okay, so if I have an 8-ounce cup of coffee, then 12 hours later, so 2:00 in the morning, okay, 1/4 of that cup of coffee, that's like drinking 1/4 cup of coffee at 2 in the morning. We're not going to do that, right? We know that that's detrimental to our health. And yet we, at 2:00, we had that. And so it is the equivalent to doing that. So most people don't understand that. And I think that's really important for people to come to terms with, so that you can make the best decisions and have a different source of energy to help you get through that slump. Sugar, again, I said before, those highs and lows, and highly processed foods also create those highs and lows because it's depending on the food. So I'm not demonizing all processed foods, but the most common highly processed foods are going to not give you the fiber or the nutritional inputs that you need. And it's going to digest very quickly, creating those, highs and lows, similar to sugar. In addition to food, these are some things that you can do to improve your mood. So like I said in the beginning, tracking how you're feeling, naming it is so important. It's so vital to better understanding the communication with your body, and being able to give your body what it needs to have a better outcome. So track how you feel. Start journaling maybe, and noticing how things show up in your body, if there's patterns. This will help you get to that root cause and undo those things that are creating the negativity in your life. Okay. So that is really important. Expressing yourself. So instead of keeping it bottled up, you can't hold on to it. It will get stuck in your body and it will create disease. Disease is dis-ease. Okay. So if you are holding on to things and not letting them out, you are brewing disease in your body. So choose however it is that you tend to want to express yourself. This can be talking to somebody. It can be writing. It can be artistic. It can be movement, whatever it is that allows you to release those emotions and not allow them to get stuck in you. That is something that you should aim to do every day, really, if you can. Having that outlet is important. We all have emotions and we all have things that we have to process every single day. Moving your body is also really, really important for mental health. So I fully respect that someone who is, especially in a depressive mode or so riddled with anxiety that it's hard to focus on any one thing and to start any one thing. I promise you, if you just commit to 1 minute, just 1 minute, just say to yourself, I know I don't want to get out of bed right now. I know I don't want to get up out of this chair, but for 1 minute, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do this movement. I'm going to dance. I am going to go for just a 1 minute. I'm going to walk up and down the driveway. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. Even if that is all you do, you did it. You moved and you got out of that cycle. And that is huge. But more times than not, what will happen when you convince yourself to take that 1 minute, you end up, it's psychological. So then you start to say to yourself, well, I'm already up. I might as well do 1 more minute or a couple more minutes or 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, right? So it's just getting you to take that initial action. That is the hardest part, I promise you. So if you can get yourself to just say 1 minute, for 1 minute, I'm going to do this. Okay. And I've run out of, I ran over. I tried to keep it at 30 minutes. So we are now at 34 minutes, but I did keep it close. So thank you so much all for being here. if anyone wants to stay and have a little bit more of a conversation, I know I rushed through this in order to get everyone through all of the information. So if you do have questions, I do see a couple of them in the chat. I'm happy to stay on for another few minutes and discuss that with you. For any of you watching the recording or that need to log off now, please make note. We would love to have you stay in touch with us. You can follow us on Instagram, nourish.my.soul. Facebook, you can find us on Facebook, Nourish My Soul. And we have an online university with tons of free classes that you could take advantage of. There's some paid classes too. And there's also an option for one-on-one nutrition coaching with me. And other classes on that as well. So if that's something that interests you, you can go on there. But even if it's just a free, other webinars that we have up there or cooking with me, I'd love to have you log in and experience that. And we have communities on there so that you can talk to one another. You can comment within the classes that you take, and people can communicate that way. So that's at university.nourishmysoul.org. And you can email me at any time if you have any questions or you want to find out ways that you can get involved in what we do. I'd love to hear from you. Or if you have suggestions on future lunch and learns, let's talk. I want to know what you need to know. All right. So that's Alicia, ALICIA at nourishmysoul.org. And I look forward to getting to know all of you a little bit better. So thank you so much for joining me and spending your lunchtime with me. I really appreciate it. And for those of you who still have a half hour left in your lunch, maybe you could go for a walk. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. And I will stay on. I'm going to stop the recording, but I'm going to stay on and answer some of your questions.